Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to share with you guys the second build that I played for Path of Exile 3.27 Keepers of the Flame League, which is my Chaos Barrage Deadeye. Without further ado, let's begin with the build intro. Okay, so if you're aware of my previous video, I actually played a version of Chaos Barrage Deadeye using the skill here, using this skill here, Barrage of Volley Fire, where it fires 4 projectiles sequentially with first and final shot firing 6 additional projectiles simultaneously in a cone-shaped spread. Okay, this was great and all, but I played around with, I tried to explore how I can improve on the build, and I stumbled upon this interesting interaction instead, which is using Split Arrow. Okay, Split Arrow is just a simple build that fires projectile in a spread pattern. It fires up to 9 plus 4. It fires up to 14 arrows at one time in a spread pattern. But there is a way to make it fire in a sequential fashion, like Barrage of Volley Fire. That is by using Barrage support. But the problem with this skill is, if you use Barrage support with Split Arrow, it will fire in a single streamline fashion if you have Deadeye's no Barrage spread Ascendancy, and that would make your clear suffer, but your single target damage will be much higher compared to using Barrage of Volley Fire. So how do we solve that? We solve that by using this unique interaction with Fury Valve. It even has the line right here inside the PoE wiki. Because Split Arrow fires a flat number of arrows instead of 1 plus a number of additional arrow, Fury Valve will not modify the base number of projectile Split Arrow fires. Each projectile will still split off 2 arrows to hit additional targets, and any source of additional projectiles such as LMP will be applied to the number of arrows that split. So in that sense, if we combine these 3 interaction, Split Arrow plus Barrage support plus Fury Valve, we would fire a barrage of 14 arrows that splits, where each projectile will split this one plus 2 additional projectile, and then Barrage support also fire 3 additional projectiles. So we will fire 14 arrows that split into 5 enemies per single arrow. So that is a major improvement compared to the previous version, which is using Barrage of Volley Fire. And other than that, the build will also be converting 100% of physical damage to chaos damage with a chance to inflict Wither. So we will be playing a 100% fist to chaos conversion, and this is obtained from Overwhelming Malice, which is a notable passive skill on a medium or large cluster jewel. And basically that's the gist of the build, most of it. I recommend you to watch my week 1 update to better understand how the build works, because I also added some a more lengthy explanation and some testing to further prove the point of the build. Okay, up next is the pros and cons. As usual, I'm just going to read it off the note section inside my POB. Okay, pros and cons. The build has great clear and great potential DPS. I have to say potential. This is because the DPS of the build currently, my character is sitting at 53 million, but this is purely theoretical potential DPS. The gameplay is extremely skill dependent. So if you miss your shot, you're not going to get this high amount of DPS. It's just something that this is just a figure that if you that you can reach if you play the build perfectly. And it has decent enough survivability, sitting at 93% evade chance with a lot of less damage taken. So our effective hit pool is 88,000. This is without applying any of the Breach Glove to the build, the Breach Glove skills like Heart of Flame. So it's decently tanky, and it only requires 1 Unix to make it work. The problem with that is the one unique required, which is Fury Valve, it's kind of mandatory. Like, I don't really recommend playing the build without having access to Fury Valve. So Fury Valve is like a level 40 unique, and it can be kinda expensive during league start at least. So yeah, I mean it's very much unique dependent on Fury Valve to get the feel of the gameplay. So that's the cons of it. I recommend you to level with something else in the meantime if you still haven't got the access to that unique. Okay, up next is the offensive and defensive layers of the build. Okay, one, it has extremely high number of hits because not only does our main skill hits 14 shot at one time, it also has a decent amount of attack rate, and we're also using Mirage Archer and also using returning projectile. So because of the number of hits, it's very good to trigger things like Unholy Might from Overwhelming Malice, and we can also reliably build with the stacks up to maximum, and also inflict culling, blind, maim, and benefit a lot from instant leech and life gain on hit that's available from the build. Okay, second layer is 100% Fist to Chaos from Unholy Might. Okay, when you skill Fist damage, usually you either use go all in from Fist, or you convert 100% into something like Elemental with gain Elemental, usually cold damage, or you go Impale, or you go I mean poison is damage over time so it doesn't count, or you go 100% Fist to Chaos. The good thing about having Chaos damage is that number one, it bypasses modifiers like max elemental resistances, increase max elemental resistances on enemies, and also Fist reduction. And finally, one thing that is not that people might not be really aware of is the endgame map mod modifier of enemy gains life as energy shield. So Chaos damage bypasses energy shield, so basically that mod turns to nothing. Unfortunately, even though we're converting 100% of our Fist to Chaos, we need to trigger that from hitting the enemy, so we still cannot play Fist Reflect maps. So I mean, wait, let me put it here. Fist Reflect maps, since our initial hits are physical until Unholy Might is triggered, so there's still that. And then for defensive layers, we have high amount of evasion. Our evasion rating is 47k with evade chance sitting at 93%. This is together with from Grace plus 3 and plus our gear, and also we're using blind, and we have spell suppression from our 3 and gear, and elemental immunity is something that we're getting from our aura, which is where is it? Purity of elements. You are immune to all elemental element. And then we have high instant life leech. This is something that we get from our leech mastery here, and also we benefit from having our number of hits extremely high per second. So when we spare it, when we pair instant leech with our skill, we can almost get instant healing when we hit the enemy fast enough. And then the third layer is less damage taken. We get this from 3 things. First is Wind Ward, our Deadeye Ascendancy right here, where it says less damage taken per gale force, with gale force having up to maximum to 10 stacks. And then we have Kintsugi, where it says here 35% less damage taken if you have not been hit recently, so it pairs really well with evasion build. And then finally Immortal Call. This is something that we use on our cast when damage taken setup. So at maximum effectiveness, we have 40% plus 35% plus 25% less damage taken. So that's a lot of less damage taken multiplier for a single hit, provided we are evading the enemy well enough to gain up to maximum Wind Ward stacks, and having that Kintsugi buff always up and running. Okay, up next is the Mastery, Ascendancy and whatnot. Okay, so for our Mastery, the most important Mastery will be Leech Mastery, where 5% Leech is instant. We want to fully utilize the number of hits the build inflict to gain that instant life leech benefit. And then Dagger Mastery, where crits are Culling Strike. Remember, this is something that's only applicable once you have Lionized Fall, where it says melee and melee weapon type modifiers in radius are transformed to bow, and you put it over here in the shadow part of the passive skill tree, and then you can get Dagger Mastery here. Crits have Culling Strike. And then the third one, Bow Mastery, projectile speed is translated into the benefit of projectile speed also applies to projectile damage. I mean damage with bows, not projectile damage. Okay. Let me correct this first. Damage with bows. Because we have a lot of projectile speed on the build. Currently, I'm sitting at 2.81 increase. So yeah, all that extra increase will turn into increased damage modifier. And then, okay, for our Ascendancy, we're taking first will always be Gathering Winds, and then because we want the speed on our build, I'm thinking that we haven't got Fury Valve yet at our first Ascendancy, and we get Fury Valve near our second Ascendancy. This is just my presumption of the gameplay if people want to start playing this build. So by right, you only take Fast Shot where it says Projectile Barrage have no spread once you are able to equip Fury Valve on your character. So first Ascendancy, Gathering Winds, you can play any other skill first at that point of time. And then our third Ascendancy will be Occupying Force, where it allows us to summon a number of Mirage Archer. And then for our final Ascendancy, we can actually take Wind Ward first, because our final Ascendancy is actually we're taking the one of the Bloodline Ascendancy, which is Farul, where we're taking the Hunt Leader node, triggers level 20, summon Spectral Tiger on critical strike. This gives us the buff 125% increased critical strike chance and 35% increased attack speed on our character. And another very good thing about Hunt Leader is also because the build has a, you can say, like a sniper playstyle where we want to keep our distance off the enemy as much as possible. Having all the Spectral Tiger companions, they would actually hug the enemy, so you can just aim at the general direction where they are crowding during bossing, and then just aim there. So it also helps with the aiming, believe it or not, when you have that 5 tigers circling around the boss. So our final Ascendancy is Wind Ward, and this is what we get from our Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh. This is usually very, very cheap, especially in softcore. So yeah, we have 5 Ascendancy points from our 3. For Bandits, we kill everyone for 1 point. Pantheon, Major Pantheon, we take Brine King for stun avoidance, and Rislatha for life loss. Okay, then we'll move on over to the gem setup for the build. Alright, so our main skill, even though I call it the Barrage character, our main skill is actually Split Arrow, the base version. So Barrage supports need to be paired with Fury Valve. I've already said it before. I recommend you to play other skills if Fury Valve is not available yet to your character. But anyway, we have Split Arrow plus Barrage plus Mirage Archer plus Returning Projectile, and then finally Void Manipulation and Vicious Projectile. These two are just for damage. The rest is just to increase the number of hits that our build is inflicting. So the reason why we're using Returning Projectile is because the build is using Fledgling's Helmet, where it says projectiles cannot collide with enemies in close range. However, somehow the interaction is our returning projectile can hit the enemy, and then this would spawn the Mirage Archer, and then the Mirage Archer somehow doesn't have that fledgling downside. So having returning projectiles allows you to kill enemies inside proximity shields and whatnot, because otherwise it kind of hard to position yourself at the edge of proximity shield just to kill an enemy off. That's why Mirage Archer and returning projectile is also very important to the build, because it bypasses somewhat the downside of fledgling. Doesn't fully bypass it, but it makes it more manageable. And then for Mana Forge support, we have Frenzy, Power Charge on Crit, Mana Forge Arrow, and then together with Cast on Crit, Despair and Creeping Frost. Okay, this has two components. Usually for early game, we're only using this one, Frenzy, Power Charge on Crit and Mana Forge, because Frenzy for Frenzy Charge, Power Charge on Crit for Power Charge, and then Mana Forge Arrow to trigger the thing to automate it. And then we have Despair and Creeping Frost. Okay, Creeping Frost is actually flexible. I just use it to inflict chill on the enemy. And then Despair is something I previously used as Hex Touch support, where every hits of our Frenzy would inflict Despair, but that comes with a lower curse effectiveness. Cast on Crit doesn't. So in my opinion, Cast on Crit is a way better support skill gem for Despair to automate our curse casting. But again, if links are not available yet, because we're asking for 2 6 links here, if the second 6 links are not available yet, just cast Despair manually. And also remember, you only can cast Despair if you've anointed Whispers of Doom on the amulet to get that. You can apply additional curse to increase the curse limit. For Aura, we have Grace, Purity of Elements, and Precision. Grace for evasion, Purity of Element for resistances and elemental ailment immunity, Precision for accuracy and critical strike chance. For our fourth slot, you can either use Enlighten or Vitality. You use Enlighten if the build really requires it, because I think I'm rolling some mana rolls from my gear as well. That's why I'm getting 806 mana. But if you don't have the extra mana, you can use Enlighten to get high level of precision. But my recommendation is, if you can slot in Vitality, you should, because there's some neat effects available on Vitality's Watcher's Eye that synergizes really well with the build. I'll go into it later. Okay, cast when damage taken, we have cast when damage taken. Okay, sorry, this is not Molten Shell, this is Immortal Call plus Purifying Flame. Again, I just like Purify. If you're aware of how I play my builds, I just like having cast when damage taken with Purifying Flame for Consecrated Ground effect. Mark on Hit, we have Mark on Hit plus Assassin's Mark, so just a standard mark setup there. And for our final batch of skill gem, we have Utility, which are Flame Dash, Enduring Cry, and Blood Rage. Flame Dash, we use it as a movement skill. Enduring Cry for endurance charge generation during bossing, because we have Immortal Call, so that's something very nice to have. And finally, Blood Rage for more attack speed. And finally, we come to the last part of the build, which will be the gears and explanation. Alright, let's go over this very quick. Okay, for our weapon, we just want high physical DPS bow with a high base crit chance. So nothing really weird there. You just progressively upgrade your bow into an endgame version. You don't even need a bow attacks fire additional projectile modifier on your bow. So it can be quite easy to gear up for this one. For quiver, during leveling, I recommend you take drill neck, because drill neck gives us damage plus +1 pierce on our bow, which is very nice. But for the endgame version, we want a high life roll plus DPS quiver using Vile Arrow Quiver base. This is because Vile Arrow Quiver has the implicit gain physical damage as extra chaos damage, and that is a huge modifier on our DPS just from implicit alone. That's like 10% more damage at least. And the rest of the modifier, you want things like the one I have here. This is practically perfect already. Physical damage, attack speed, crit multi, projectile speed, damage with bow skills. My quiver alone is giving me like 50% combined DPS. So yeah, Quiver is very important for damage. For helmet, we're using for early game, just pick whatever you want for resistance capping. But for end game, we want to take fledgling. This is because fledgling synergizes really well with not really synergizes, but it stacks directly with our fast shot Ascendancy, where it says projectiles gain damage as they travel further, dealing up to 30% more damage. And then fledgling simply have fast shot. Somehow these two stacks together, so you get up to 60% more damage with these two combined, if you're standing far enough to the enemy. I mean, can I stand even further from this? Yeah, this is already maximum. And then it also has projectile speed and projectile damage. Again, with our mastery, we can convert projectile speed into projectile damage, so even more, 90% more damage right there. And finally, it has the downside of projectiles not being able to collide with enemies in close range. This is why in the skill gem section, I've highlighted about the use of Mirage Archer plus returning a projectile. This is to somewhat mitigate the downside of fledgling, because otherwise it's a great DPS helmet for build. For body armor, we're taking Kintsugi. Kintsugi is something that simply has very high evasion, and also the mod less damage taken if you have not been hit recently. This basically prevents us from getting that occasional one shot when we do actually get hit. And then after that, gloves, we want to use a double influence rare. The rules that we want are life, attack speed, life regen, and spell suppression. The implicit that we want, very important, we need pierce on the build to basically to allow the split arrow, the arrow that have split to have pierce. Does it pierce first? No, it splits first. It splits first, then it pierce. So to have the splitting arrows to pierce to better improve our clear, and finally gain range on attack, because that's the easiest way to gain range on a range character. For boots, we want double influence rare as well. We want life, movement speed, spell suppression, resistances. Implicit, we want life regenerate and action speed. This is something very important since we're getting only gloves spell suppression from our glove and boot slot. You need a combined roll of 22%. If you follow the passive skill tree perfectly, you need only 22% to cap your spell suppression chance. So something very important to highlight as well. Should be really easy. You can get like 11% here, 11% here. For bet, we're using for early game, we just take Belt of the Deceiver. This is something this is a very good belt during early game because it intimidates nearby enemy. But for end game, we have Rislatha's Coil. Take Rislatha's Coil that has high amount of maximum physical attack damage and low amount of minimum physical attack damage, and then catalyze it so that it can go up to 46% more physical attack damage to further improve our DPS. How much does Rislatha's Coil gives us? 23% combined DPS. So yeah. For rings, we're basically only using 2 rare. Early game, I recommend you to use Kikazaru. Again, this is just my favorite leveling unique. For our first rare ring, we want to roll life, intelligence, resistances, and use flat mana cost to reduce the mana cost of our skills. For our second ring, we just take life, resistances, and life regeneration. So it's not really hard to gear up for these 2 rings right here. Amulet, we use Fury Buff, nothing else. This is basically mandatory. It's a build enabling unique for us. For our anointment, we want to take Whispers of Doom. Already highlighted this before because the build is using Assassin's Mark and Despair. Before you have Whispers of Doom anointed, because it can be quite expensive, it requires 3 golden oil. Just use Assassin's Mark instead, or Despair instead, whichever you want to choose. Assassin's Mark is easier to automate, so I recommend that one. For jewels, we have Lethal Pride, socketed here near the Ranger skill tree. The mods that we want are actually more damage from here, chance to deal double damage, life, is whatever, life regen. But the the good notes that we want are actually chance to gain endurance charge on kill, and perhaps chance to intimidate. The lethal pride that I have right now is one that I recycled from my previous character. So yeah, I would prefer to have at least 10% chance to gain endurance charge on kill, because it really helps with mapping for your survivability to pair with your immortal call. And then we have to take Lioness Fall, our second jewel, to turn all this node here into a bow cluster. Our large cluster jewel, we want the most important node will be Overwhelming Malice for chance to gain Unholy Might to convert all our physical to chaos damage. Watcher's Eye. Okay, Watcher's Eye is something that's I could go on about a build. We have Grace and Precision, but also Vitality if you can slot it in. The mandatory mods are actually chance to evade while affected by Grace. But let's take Watcher's Eye. Okay, let's go through them one by one. Grace, okay, we just want additional chance to evade. The rest doesn't really matters to us much. But let's say Precision, we can take Flash Charge on crit. Sorry, I shouldn't have clicked that. Increase attack damage, increase attack speed, increase crit multi. All of this benefits our build. So Flash Charge on crit is great as well to get our flash uptime. Vitality, where is it? Okay, Vitality has damage life leech, not important. Life gain on hit, life recovery rate, and percent life regen. All these three are great, but even more so will be life gain on hit, because we gain 25 life per enemy hit while affected by Vitality. But since we are hitting enemies at least 14 times with a single click, not counting the split and return, 14 times 25, we're already getting 350 life per enemy hit, and this is not even counting the one that we have from Leech Mastery. So where is it? Here, Leech Mastery. So if you can get Vitality with life gain on hit, that will also be very good for the build. It's just that those can be quite expensive. And then finally, for our jewel, we want to take Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flash for Wind Ward. Something I need to highlight, tattoos. We don't use it much, but the things that we want are chance to blind enemies on hit and chance to inflict maim on hit. Just something that is relatively free that we can use on our build. And then finally for our flask, very simple. We have now one Bleed Life Flask, and the remaining flask we have Silver, Jade, Stipnite, and Amethyst Flask. The suffixes that we want are percentage life regen, regenerate percentage 3% life regen. This one is a crafted modifier from the bench, and then reduce curse effect and increase evasion. You can also take increased crit chance for the final one. For this one will be the least, will have the least priority. Jade Flask for flat evasion, Stipnite for more evasion rating, Amethyst Flask just for chaos resistances. This is actually a flexible slot. You can use whatever flask you want for the 5th slot. And then try to get gain charges on hit prefix for all utility flasks. Okay, that's pretty much it for the build guide. I have to say, of all the Barrage that I have played, this is maybe one of the best version that I have right now. I've actually played, this is basically one of the first build concept that I played long time ago that I brought to endgame using during Ritual League, I think. Using Reach of the Council. So I'm happy that in 3.27 I can somehow made a version that is endgame viable with all of that. It's just that maybe I don't know, I'm thinking that because of targeting is an issue, maybe a totem version would be much better with the build. But either way, this current version is also functions well enough anyway for endgame. And if you have any question, feel free to post them down in the comment section down below, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And also, I just want to say, I'm maybe not playing, not posting any build guides anymore for 3.27 because I I've played my share of the my share of the league already, so not really planning on playing seriously anymore. Maybe just tinker around with the new Fireball Unix or what. And basically that's about it. Thank you very much. Bye.